Hi there. In this video, I'm following up the previous video that I created about parent-teacher interviews. So what I'd like to show you in this video is what to do when we have multiple days for parent-teacher interviews. So we don't have it just one day, we now have it maybe 2 or 3 days. So in this case, I also want to show you as well, let's say one of those days are full. So how do you make sure that parents know that? Because what can happen in a Google Forms, unfortunately, it doesn't like it when there is a blank underneath and a question. So we're using the form ranger. So what it would do is keep that last time slot indefinitely. So that way you would unfortunately have a parent who chooses that time, but doesn't disappear. And then you can have another parent that goes in there, oh, there's still that time slot available. And therefore you could have double booked, triple booked, and so on and so on. So we don't want that to happen. So I have to do a little bit of work to make sure that we can communicate that, hey, when this is now empty, we can do something. Okay, so first things first, I have created in this cell here a count if. And all this means is that you're going to look in this column here from B2 to B14, and you can adjust these numbers depending on how many time slots you have available. And it's counting the number of spaces. So when you have double quotation marks like this, it just means you're counting the number of spaces. And if you recall in the previous video, I took the 2 o'clock time slot. So therefore there is one blank space here because that time slot is no longer available. Over in this cell, what I have done is now taking a step further, saying that if this value here is equal to 13, so because if all the time slots were chosen, that would be now 13. So of course you would change this value if you have less time slots or more time slots. What's going to populate is, sorry, there are no more time slots available for this day. Please select another day and time. Now what happens if A15 is not equal to 13, that means this would not get displayed, but a blank would be displayed. And that's good to know because we are going to have to redo the form ranger, and we want to make sure that we don't want something appearing here that shouldn't be here. So for example, if I go back to my parent-teacher interviews here, and I want to go back, oh, that was the original. Let's go back to the raw one that we're working on. All I'm going to do is update this question list. And what I meant by that was if that was visible there, that would update in that list. And we certainly don't want that to populate here saying, hey, there's no more time slots available, when in fact we of course do. So I can quickly show you what this would look like if, let's say, this registration here was not just 0, and let's say they're all 1s. So we have, let's say parents have gone in, all the time slots are now taken. Take a look how this happened. All of a sudden, this became to 13 spaces, so that populated 13, which triggered this response, sorry, there are no more time slots available. Well, let's go back to the Google form, update the question list, and there you go. For November 13th, sorry, there are no more time slots available for this day. Please select another day and time. So that way we go down to November 14th and November 15th. Well, now the question is, well, that's great. Well, how do I do it now for these other days I have parent-teacher interviews? How do I now add those time slots like we did for the one day? And I want to show you how quick and easy this is going to be. Okay, I need to reset this. Now, I changed these all to 1 manually, but when I did that, I kind of broke the formula that I had here. So I just need to fix that by putting this formula back in. And this is for E in my previous page. All right, and again, these formulas are going to be given to you in the form that I'm sharing with you, so you don't need to try to reinvent the wheel here. All right, perfect. All right, and now what I'm going to do is copy this over and go do it for my next slot or for my next date. Now, keeping in mind though, it looks like, oh, that 2 o'clock slot was taken, so we kind of want to reset that. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to go to responses. And I'm going to delete the response because this is when we were testing. So delete all responses. Click OK. And back to my parent-teacher interviews. I'm going to go back to my form response 1. And I'm just going to delete this column here, or delete this row, sorry. And back to choices for November 13th. Okay, excellent. We're reset. Everything is back to 1s. We have our formula back in here for the number registered. I am now going to copy these cells, and I'm including this bottom row here so that it has that information about if I'm full for that day. Click on the plus sign to add a new sheet. Just double click to rename that. Choices. I'm just going to do it for the next day and paste. Now that I have that set in there, that's all we have to do really. Everything's all there, except if I go back to my form response 1, this time because we're looking at November 14th, this is now column F. So let's go back. And if you recall in here, this is column E. So all we have to do is update that. Let's do F, hit enter. And then I'm just going to go ahead and again, hover over that blue box, drag that down. And now it's going to adjust so they're all for column F. I'm going to do the exact same thing while we're all doing this. Copy this, grab that last row as well, add a new sheet. Let's do our last day. November 15th, let's say, if that's our 3rd day, and paste. And again, one more time, this is going to be the next column, G. Drag that down. We've adjusted that. Perfect. Now we have one last piece. We need to go back to our form itself, and we now to ask Form Ranger to grab these questions to update this, update the question list. So November 14th, let's populate from a range. We're going to click on the plus sign, new range. So similar process as we did before, so good practice. We're going to grab the sheet that we're currently working on, select. Don't forget, we don't want form response 1. This is why I named it very specifically for the dates. And the timestamp, no, not time slots either. We want Form Ranger time. And then click next. Name it whatever you want. I will do the same thing for the last date. Okay, so we can do that. And with the update should give us also, so if I'm going to update the question list, our November 13th dates will populate as well. There we go. See, November 13th has come back, November 14th, and you're just going to repeat the same process for November 15th now. So you're just going to go through here and populate from range, plus sign, grab the sheet that we're currently working in, the sheet, the responses. We don't want the purple one, we want the green. Last date. And finally, Form Ranger time. And click next. Okay, and now the form will be updated yet again. So we have all 3 days here, all the time slots, and they will disappear as parents select them. And if all the time slots are taken away for one date, you will get that message now indicating they need to pick another day. Now to send this off to those parents, click on the send button. I would grab this part here, shorten the URL, take this and then post it wherever you want, and then the parents can have a live copy. They do not need a Google account to do this. They just have to go into the Google form and select the days that work best for them. All right, if you have any questions or concerns, please let me know.